record to cloud. Okay, so this session is being recorded, so please be mindful of that. Welcome everybody to this info session on WeCU's new Humanities in Action program. Thank you guys all for joining. We are excited to have you guys join us today and to answer some of your questions, not only about WeCU, but about Humanities in Action. Oops. My name is Olivia Hagedorn, and I am a student support coordinator for WeCU Community Engaged Scholars. I'm accompanied by my colleague Erin, as well as David, who is representing top scholars here at UIUC, and I will let them introduce themselves.
Hi all, I'm Erin Budesheim. I am also a student support coordinator and program coordinator with WeCU, and it's nice to see you all here.
Hi everybody, my name is David Shug. I direct the National International Scholarships Program, assisting students applying for nationally competitive scholarships. And today I want to give you some advice after we hear about this amazing program on how you can fill out a stronger application for this award.
Cool, thank you. Okay, so just a rough outline for today. I don't expect us to stay for the full hour, probably about 45 minutes if I had to guess, but today we're going to go over a little bit about what WeCU Community Engaged Scholars is. So for some of you guys who might not already be members, we're then going to talk a little bit about the Humanities in Action program, which is what we are excited to announce, as well as the eligibility requirements and application process. And then David is going to chime in with some tips and pointers for how you can best tailor your application and make yourself a very competitive applicant to this program. And then we're going to leave some time at the end for some questions that you guys might have. Okay, so I'm going to start with WeCU Community Engaged Scholars. We are a campus service and volunteering program at the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign. Our program was founded in the summer of 2020. So as you can imagine, that is right at the heart of the pandemic. And we have been active ever since on campus. And so we have three core values that we sort of design our program around. And the first being impact, that WeCU scholars are actively engaged in meeting our community's needs. The second core value that we pride ourselves in is experience. So WeCU scholars gain valuable skill sets and experience through hands-on activities with community partners, and that you guys can use these experiences in turn to bolster your resumes, right? And finally, the final pillar would be community. So WeCU scholars are connected with other like-minded students, that is students who also want to be active in the community, and that you are supported in turn by those peers and by WeCU and the community partners with whom we work. But of course, WeCU is not simply a recognition program rather on campus here. We are also very active in connecting UIUC students to our community partners. And so we provide trainings, mini grants, and we provide actual projects that you can work on as a WeCU scholar. And so here are some of the various organizations that our students have been most active in recently. You can see Education Justice Project is one that we often have students working with, United Way, the University YMCA of UIUC. All of these are places where our students have found meaning through service on every semester since WeCU has been in existence. Okay, so Humanities in Action. We're going to focus on this today for this info session. Erin is going to put the program link into the chats for everyone to access. I'm going to first start off by saying that this program has been generously funded by the Humanities Research Institute on campus and a UIUC alum, Dr. Dan Shin. And it's clear from conversations with students that Erin and I have had that you guys all really want community service and engagement opportunities, but one, you don't always know where to ask or where to find those opportunities. And more importantly, that many of you guys face barriers that prevent you from taking advantage of service opportunities through WeCU. And so we are launching the Humanities in Action service program to remove some of those barriers and hopefully encourage humanities students at the University of Illinois to take your training outside of the classroom and into the community. As you guys all know, as humanists, we have a lot to offer to our community, but we also have a lot to learn. And at WeCU, we really strive to position our community partners as experts who can teach us new ways of thinking as well as new skill sets. And so we're really trying to bridge that sort of campus community divide with this program. Okay, so with that in mind, let's shift over to the program highlights. So 5 students will be selected from a pool of applicants, and you will work together on a community service project in our Greater Champaign, Urbana area. This program will start in August of 2022, and it will finish in December of 2022. And over the summer, so I would say probably late July, early August, WeCU will work with you to identify some major, perhaps, interests that you might have, and to find a service project that fits those interests, as well as the skill sets that you have and the skill sets that you want to develop through service. So this can be an entirely new project. So for example, if you wanted to become active with Education Justice Project or Books to Prisoners, but you just don't know how to quite get there, we can help connect you to that organization. But let's say you've already have an established relationship with Education Justice Project. We are more than happy to let you continue that work in a more sustained capacity through Humanities in Action. Okay. I will also say that students who are selected to participate in this program have the option of working alone. So perhaps, again, if you have already established in a relationship with a community partner and you want to continue that, you are more than welcome to do that alone. But if you would very much like to be a member of a cohort of a group of students working on a project, we're also willing to accommodate that as well. So as part of this program, you will receive a $1,000 stipend. You will also receive training and connection to like-minded peers, and you will receive all of the benefits of being a WeCU scholar, meaning you will be eligible for mini grants to support the costs associated with service. So let's say you need to, I don't know, Erin, like what do we give mini grants for? Let's say you need paper and supplies. You're tutoring students at DREAM, which is one of the organizations that we work with frequently. Let's say that you need notebooks, pens, papers, and things to be able to do the service in the way that you would like to do it. WeCU is happy to reimburse you for the cost of those materials. And so as a Humanities in Action scholar, you will be eligible to receive those mini grants in addition to the $1,000 stipend. You will also learn about internship opportunities and support available through the Humanities Research Institute on campus. And so some of you guys might not be familiar with what we call HRI. HRI is exactly what it sounds like. It is a campus unit that supports dynamic research in the humanities. And they are trying very hard to broaden their connections and their reach to undergraduate students. And this is one of the ways in which they are doing that. And so this program will tap you into some of those networks of HRI. And I should note that HRI has its own internship opportunities that often run throughout the entire academic year. And so as a member of this program, you're going to be learning a lot about what those programs are. We're going to be introducing you to people at HRI so that if you are interested in applying to an HRI fellowship or an internship, you will have a leg up compared to other applicants. And finally, as part of the Humanities in Action program, you're going to have access to professional development. So we're going to pull in members from the Career Center, representatives from the Career Center, representatives like David here, who can help you really sort of learn how to communicate the experiences that you are gaining in your resumes, as well as in job interviews and cover letters and things like that. Okay, so program requirements. This program will typically, again, this is a give or take, dedicate about 4 hours per week to program activities. That does not mean that you have to dedicate necessarily 4 hours a week to service. Within that 4-hour total, we are including meetings, workshops, and trainings. And so I will also say that, sometimes you might serve 2 hours a week, And then the next week you might serve 6 hours a week, right? Service is very much not something that you can easily like plan out into your schedule. And so this is a rough estimate of about 4 hour per week time commitment on the part of Humanities in Action. We also ask that you attend group meetings, workshops, and trainings. Again, one of the points of this program is to really start to build a community of humanist scholars at UIUC who are interested in taking their skill sets and applying them outside of the classroom. Another requirement that we are asking of students is that you submit a final reflection at the end of fall 2022, so in December. Our wonderful program coordinator, Erin, has dedicated much of her time at WCU to developing service reflections and encouraging service reflection as an important part of your community engagement experience. And so we definitely want to tap into that and have you guys think about, what are the implications, what are the meanings that you're taking away from your time in service. And then the last requirement, which is not a big one, is to participate or join us for our recognition ceremony at the end of 2022-2023 calendar year. And so that will be held, I believe, in May of 2023. Okay, so eligibility. This program, Humanities in Action, as the name suggests, is for humanities undergraduate students at the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign. In order to apply, you need to be in good academic standing. So that really depends. I think different departments and colleges have different requirements for what good academic standing is. I believe the very base minimum is a 2.0 GPA, if not a 2.5 GPA. Most programs, I think, have 2.5 GPA as the requirement for good academic standings. And of course, all applicants are welcome, but preference is given to students from underrepresented backgrounds. We've listed a few of these out here. Of course, this list is not all encompassing. However, it gives you a rough idea of the students who we would like to recruit into this program. I know the first question that I'm going to get is, what do you mean by the humanities? It's a very hard concept to wrap our head around. I will say that WCU and the Humanities Research Institute both have very broad definitions of what encompasses the humanities. And so I put a couple of general definitions here on the screen. The first being that humanities scholars try to understand the impact of systems, processes, and beliefs on human culture and society, whether that be past, present, or future. And humanists are interested in, of course, the human dimensions of any problems, ideas, and convictions, right? So if we think about the pandemic as a perfect example, right? That the pandemic, COVID-19 was not simply something that was the realm of scientists, right? But that there are human dimensions that need to be explored. It is a problem that humanities scholars can bring insight and critical thinking to. Some of the fields, again, this list is not all encompassing. This is a very general list of humanities majors or fields that we might describe as being humanities-based fields. And so, of course, all of the cultural studies and ethnic studies programs, such as AFAM studies, American Indian studies, Latino studies, cinema studies, all of those, of course, would count. And of course, more perhaps traditional majors such as English, history, languages, so French, Spanish, Portuguese, philosophy. I would also add art history to this list. And of course, this is not an all-encompassing list. Again, you might be a sociologist, and sociologists are very much interested in the human dimensions of the world around us, right? And so, of course, a sociologist would be included as a humanities scholar. The next question that I know I'm going to get is, I have a humanities minor, am I allowed to apply? And the short answer is yes. The long answer is, you need to answer a couple extra questions from us on the application form. And that question is, how has a humanities minor helped you comprehend and question the human dimensions of your major field? That's a really big question. So I'll give you an example. Let's say you are a psychology major and you have a minor in AFAM studies. you might approach this question, right? Again, thinking through how has your minor in African American Studies helped you understand how race, class, gender impact or influence the direction of psychological studies, right? Something along those lines. So if you are a minor, yes, you are allowed to apply, but it can't simply be that you had the classes, right? To get that minor, you need to have the classes and apply those classes or show us that you are applying those classes in a way that is thinking about, again, the humanity, the human dimensions of the world around us. So the application process for Humanities in Action is very simple. Erin is going to put, if she hasn't already, going to put the link to our application form in the chat for everybody. It's a very simple application. We are asking for some basic demographic info. So of course, your name, your UIN, things like that, and a copy of your web academic history. I think the better phrase to call this is your unofficial transcript. We do not want you guys paying for your transcripts. We do not need an official transcript. What we are asking is that you go into, I believe it's called Enterprise or Apps, and you essentially download or you take a screenshot, right, of the classes that you've taken and your total GPA, your total earned GPA at UIUC. And again, this is simply to ensure that you are in good academic standing with the university. The longer part of the application is that we are asking you to answer 3 questions. And I will say that these can be answered in writing, or we are giving you the option to answer these questions with a brief video. So question 1 is, how will service and public engagement broaden your understanding of our community's needs? What do you hope to learn about the social, economic, political, and educational systems perpetuating those needs? So that's question 1. That's a big question. Question 2, how would this community engagement experience contribute to your learning, skills development, and career readiness at the University of Illinois? And then finally, we are asking you to comment briefly on how this program would enable you to participate in community engagement opportunities that may not otherwise be accessible to you. So again, getting at the conviction, right, that this program is designed to benefit students who have historically been excluded from service opportunities on this campus. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to David, who I believe is going to break down some of these questions for you guys and give you some insight into perhaps what we are looking for in our responses and how you can make a really powerful and effective statement through your applications.
Great, those are big questions to unpack. So I'm gonna hopefully help you do that a little bit. I'll back up just a slide for a second.
Oops. There we go.
One more back. There we go. So I'm half of our office. The other half, Nicole. So if you think this David guy's crazy, good news. There's a nice person to talk to in the office who's super intelligent and can help you a lot with applications. A little bit more background. So I've spent the last 20 years at Illinois assisting students in applying for nationally competitive scholarships. There are some great fits for some awards. Certainly a humanities scholar who's interested in serving the community. We work with students who are applying for Truman scholarships. They get $30,000 to go to graduate school to help them in a career in public service, right? Making the world a better place. There's a lot of full ride graduate study scholarships, Rhodes scholarships. They're looking at investing in people who are going to, again, make the world a better place, right? So let's take a look at what scholarships want, whether we're talking about a Rhodes Scholarship, a Truman Scholarship, Humanities in Action Award. Scholarships are looking at you as a student as a good investment, right? If they give you $1,000 for the semester to go and do some good things, what do they get out of it? What does the community get out of it? So it's more than just, oh, I could use $1,000 because that'll, I'll eat some nicer dinners. Not a good reason to give you the money, right? But, oh, I want to use this because it's going to help me do these other things in my life and I'll make some sort of bigger impact. That's a great investment. So think about yourself as an investment. Scholarships are interested in supporting future leaders, right? They're not really about, oh, we're going to fund a bunch of followers. the world needs followers too, but they want to fund the people who are going to be on the cutting edge and the leading edge and leading the charge, because I'm an optimistic person, but there's some problems in the world, right? What are the problems you want to be working on? How can you start, or how can you continue doing that? How is this scholarship going to help you do that? Again, what a great investment. And the bottom point there, why they want people who are going to be supporting, helping to make the changes in the world that need to be made right now. So let's take a look at these individual questions. So the first one, I read this, I'm like, oh, there's a lot going on here, right? So I tried to break it down to a couple pieces. So they first ask, how is this going to broaden your understanding of our community's needs? So I thought the key word in there is broaden. They're not, if I was going to be giving the scholarship, I want to know that I'm going to give it to somebody who's already started working on this in some shape or form. So I want to find out first, what do you already know about our community? Well, what have you been involved in? What's been your engagement so far? Because that's going to show me that you're probably the type of person who's going to use this to do good things with it, and you're not just doing this for the $1,000 in the line of the resume, because you've already been engaged in some way. So letting us know what you've been already involved in. You also don't know everything, right? What do you want to learn? Well, I've been working in this thing. I'm interested in working with this other organization because I haven't seen this yet. I'd like to get more in depth. I've been with this organization, and this is going to provide me an opportunity to spend more time with them so I can learn some things further. Again, that investment piece. Then finally, I think the big question, if everything goes perfect in your life, which it never does, but we got a dream, right? If everything goes perfect, what's the thing, what's the issue, what's the item you'd like to be working on later on in your career? It doesn't need to be like, I want to be a this, but it's, I want to work on this problem, and maybe I'll do it as a this or as a that or as a something else, but here's the thing I'm focused on. And there should be a tie between what that big dream is and what this scholarship is going to do. So this scholarship is going to be a stepping stone towards you reaching that big goal. Again, a great reason to invest in you, because I have this big thing that's important in the world. This scholarship is going to help me get there. Here's the way I've started getting there, right? We're seeing you on this upward trajectory. So that's kind of the first question summary. Then we get to question number 2. I'll be a little honest. There's a little bit of redundancy I see between the first question and the second question. Good news about this, you saw the first question they gave you, I think it was like 500 words. This one you get 300 words. Like, oh, well, man, I get this great idea. I can't quite fit it in here. Yeah, some of those things, you put it in either essay. What's most important is that the committee sees that you're the kind of person that they're looking for. So don't get too caught up in like, oh, does it belong here or there? It probably could go in either space. Where does it fit the best? But I think the take-home message on the second one is, how are you going to be different at the end of this award, right? Again, this is going to show the growth that you've had. Here's the thing that I don't know, and here's how I want to gain that. Here's how it's going to be helping me to follow that big dream. And what have you been doing in the past that shows that you're going to be doing good things here? My little thing, story, sell, specific example. So this question is not a strictly theoretical response. I think that the world needs to have more people who are engaged in this issue. This issue is very important because there's 30 million statistics about why and all this stuff. I'm like, yeah, but what is your part in it, right? How have you been involved and how have you been grasping with this? Don't just say, I've been caring about this issue for a long time. No, show me that you have, and tell me the story about the person that you met or this encounter that you had. That's going to be memorable for your committee who's reviewing it. And then we get question number 3. And this is the, how am I, why should you invest in me? What's the extra added bonus that I might provide? If I didn't get this funding, I might not be able to do these great things. Or look at how far I've look at how far I've come, right? Again, showing this trajectory. I'm a person who's worthy of investment because I wasn't given very much and now I have a lot more. I've been given a lot and I've done a lot with it, right? And you give me more and I can do more with it. The caveats here, I would not spend a bunch of time thinking about all the other applicants and saying, you should pick me because I'm smarter than everybody else. You can say you can pick me because I work really hard in my classes and I've learned these things and I want to find a way to apply them. Great. You can pick me because I have this personal experience that whatever, great. But don't, when you toss in a better than or anything that's going to talk about somebody else, leave that to the committee. Just tell them about you. And the last part, the why root for you, that's kind of a bonus factor. At the end of the day, review committee is going to read 20, 30, 15, 7, I don't know, they're going to a certain number of applications. And yours needs to stand out. You're the, oh, I liked her. She's the one who blank. Okay. What's your blank, right? Why? Through the stories that you tell in your application and where you want to go and where you've started and who you'd like to become, what is that thing that they're going to remember? Oh yeah, I liked her. Let's make her one of the 5 scholars. All right, some general advice. And by the way, I'm talking about the things that I'm sharing here, applicable very much to this scholarship application, also applicable to most scholarship applications that you're going to be putting together. So you want to show, don't tell. I am smart is not the same as an honors student. I have done these 3 research projects around the area of food insecurity, and now I would like to go and apply them to this thing. I've done that in the past by X, Y, and Z. Well, wow, I just found out you're smart. You didn't have to tell me you're smart. The theoretical and the practical. So I said, I don't, it's not going to be very compelling just to have everything all up in the clouds. There's big issues in the world that need to be solved, and these authors have looked at them and blah, 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 all this stuff like, okay, I'm falling asleep right now. At the same time, this is not just, they're not asking for your resume. They don't want bullet points. Volunteered 40 hours in this place, volunteered 30 hours, and mix these 2 together. Here's what I think. Here's what I've done about it. Here's what I think. Here's 3 different things that will show you that I'm this person who I say that I want to be. Thinking about your biggest, what's your best stuff, right? And do they make it into your application? So if like, oh, I'm really, really proud of this thing. Man, when you're writing your essays, make sure that thing is in there. Spin it to fit somehow, because they're not going to know about it unless you share it with them. Positive language versus negative language. So I work in a scholarship office, scholarship geek or whatever. You can make all sorts of jokes about that. There's some peer-reviewed studies where scholarship applications where in personal statements and stuff where people have a lot of no's and don'ts and couldn'ts and would never, like that language, those applications are less successful than the doers and the positive. And you can think about any issue, and instead of phrasing it negatively, phrase the positive side. You're going to go further with that. Have other people read your application. You have all sorts of ideas in your head. You know exactly what you're saying, but it doesn't really matter if the person who's reading it doesn't get what you're saying. So share it with an outside audience. Writer's workshop, super helpful to do that for you. Last part, a balance. What are you going to get out of this experience, and what is it that you're going to give to the experience, right? They want it to be good for you. They want it to be good for them. If both of those aspects come out in your application, I don't know, is it 60-40 or 40-60 or 30-70 or whatever, just make sure that they're both in there. Finally, so I work with students applying for nationally competitive scholarships. If it was only for the students who won the award, I would have kind of a sad job because most of the students don't win the award. I want you to think about applying for a scholarship in this fashion. Whether or not you're going to receive this award, you should make it a useful experience for you, right? You're going to force yourself to put down on paper, what is my big goal? What is my big dream? Right? That's a cool thing to do. You don't do that in class assignments, right? You are going to put together, okay, here's what I want to be. Here's how I've started being that. Here's the things. Oh, yeah, you know what? I've done okay, right? That big contribution, having this all put together in a nice application, package. This is going to be good for you. And guess what? All the thoughts and ideas that you're putting into this scholarship application or any other application, you're going to use the same thing when you're applying for internships, when you're applying for jobs, when you're applying for scholarships through my office someday. So applying for a scholarship in and of itself is going to be a positive thing. And that's a win, whether or not you're going to be receiving the award. And finally, if you're like, oh, these scholarships, they sound kind of cool. What's he talking about? There you can send an email to us, add you to the database if you'd like to talk to me about some of the nationally competitive scholarship opportunities. Be glad to make an appointment. Again, if you think that David guy's crazy, he's too intense, whatever, ask for a meeting with Nicole. It'll work out perfectly.
Thank you, David. That was very helpful. And I should note that WeCU is in the process of creating a scholarship database on our website that features many of the scholarships that David helps students apply for, because many of them feature service and community engagement as some of their primary takeaways. And so keep an eye on our website, and we hope that we can really encourage our WeCU students to apply to some of those national scholarships in addition to the Humanities in Action awards that we are giving out. So some final takeaways before I open it up for questions. Applications for this program are due April 3rd at midnight. So it's a Sunday at midnight. We hope to award, to notify recipients by the start of May. Program details and the application form can be found at wecu.edu/humanitiesinaction. Erin, of course, put those links in the chat, but if you can't seem to find them later, shoot us an email at wecu@illinois.edu, and we are always here to answer questions. So with that, I'm going to open it up to questions and comments from the chat, or if you want to unmute yourself and ask a question, we are here to answer your questions.
Hi, yeah, I have a quick question. I joined a little bit late, so I'm not sure if you guys already touched on this, but this is open to any majors, or is it just for humanity majors? Because I actually am not a humanity major or minor.
Yeah, that's a great question. Sorry, I'm trying to find. Yeah, so the question that we would have, or how I would respond to that, is that this program is specifically designed to support humanities students. That being said, we take a very broad definition of what is a humanities student, right? So let's say you are an engineering major, right? We are not saying that engineering majors are excluded from this program. You need to make the case, though, in your application questions of why you consider engineering or how you approach engineering from a humanist perspective, right? So really thinking through how you are centering humanity, human systems, processes, beliefs in engineering. That's how I would respond to your question. Does that help?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, if there are no additional questions, Erin, do you have any questions you want to raise or comments? Okay, well, with that, we will stay here online for the next couple minutes in case anyone wants to ask any questions privately. Again, you can shoot us an email at wecu- wait, what is it? We see you at illinois.edu. If you have any additional questions or concerns, or if you simply lose the link to the Humanities in Action program, applications are due on April 3rd. Thank you, Erin. Applications are due on April 3rd at midnight. And we look forward to reading some of what you guys have to say. So thank you so much for joining us. This was a pleasure.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, David. That was very helpful. And I learned a lot. And I can definitely speak to the fact that filling out fellowship applications has helped me hone my own dissertation and helped me understand what I am actually arguing in my own project. So
Nice to hear I'm not making it up.
no.
Cool, thank you. And yeah, thanks for I'm looking forward to the plugs too, as far as links between, I'm excited to hear who are the winners, and I want to get their names because I want to reach out to them and hear about their projects and talk about their scholarships, and there's some great synergies. So
yeah, we are definitely going to reach out to top scholars as well as the Career Center on campus, and of course HRI. And what we're really trying to do with this program is to make those connections, make the institution less opaque, if that makes sense, and so really acquainting humanities students with some of the lesser known programs and areas of support that they should and could tap into. So HRI being one, Top Scholars being one, the Career Center being another, and to really make the university less confusing for our students.
great.
Yeah.
Thank you both.
Thanks, David.
Okay. Well, Erin, I think we should we?
I think we can end it. Maria or Danica, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out over email, okay?
Well, have a good night, Erin.
You too.